Morning, y'all. So today we're going to start setting up for our project. We've seen some examples and I'll share more, obviously. The way that we start this is actually pretty simple, okay? And it will take more brain power when you start to make them look more like buildings, okay? So we're going to start with our vanishing point in the center of our paper, and I'm gonna show you in just a minute, okay? And then we're gonna make a few lines to start to outline where we want our buildings to be. Because the way that we're creating it, it looks like we're standing on the street and we're looking up versus what some of you have done before where you're a bird in the sky, an airplane, and you're looking down. Okay, so let's get started. Okay guys, so as I mentioned, you're gonna make a little dot in the middle. I didn't make mine too big. Hopefully you can see it there, okay? It's right there, okay? From this dot, you're going to create 4 lines, almost like an X, going to your corners using your straight edge. Let me grab my Magna-Tiles again because I still can't find my ruler. I'm going to line up my straight edge with my point and my corner, and I'm gonna make not a dark line, I'm still gonna make them light because I don't know if I'll keep all these lines, right? We're kind of setting up how we want this to look, okay? And then I'm gonna draw another line to the other corner, so line up with my straight edge to my corner up here. I'm not pressing too hard because I want to be able to erase it, okay? I'm gonna do the other corner. So it looks like you put a big, don't do a big old X. Actually line up every single corner. Do not put a big old X through your paper, okay? I know that seems like the logical, easy way, but I want you guys to do this correctly, okay? If an engineer or an architect was creating, they would have to use their straight edge, their ruler, more than likely, because they don't have to use toys like I do, to create their buildings, okay? So next step, I'm gonna have you guys put more lighter lines. You're just putting a lot of lines coming from your vanishing point to the edge of your paper, okay? I will complete one building for you guys this morning, and you guys will spend some time creating your own and thinking about how you want this to look using examples that I have or I have shared in the PowerPoint, okay? Okay, so what my paper looks like, and I think you can see some of it, as you can see my vanishing point in the middle, and I have lines going all the way out to the edge. Okay, so this is helping to create the outlines or shapes for my buildings, okay? So I'm going to make another line, and you can choose to follow or not, depending on your point of view. I'm gonna go ahead and put this line here. Okay, I'm gonna make this corner right here, a building, okay? So what I'm going to do is make sure that I have parallel lines again, okay? So the first part is gonna be this top part of my building, and the edge of my paper is right here. Let me move this over, okay? Which means the bottom of my building, or the building that, I guess the top of my building since I'm looking up, right, is going to be parallel to that side. So I'm gonna come down here and make a line, okay? So this right here is the side of my first building, okay? I'm gonna pause for a minute and then we're going to see what questions you have so far. So just a review, okay? So I had my vanishing point in the middle and I created my lines all the way around my paper, okay? And I'm starting my first building. This line right here is parallel, so this is a math term. Parallel meaning these lines never intersect, okay? To the top part of my paper, right? So this line here is parallel to the top of my paper, okay? And the way that I got that, just to remind you, let me pull this back, is I line up my ruler or my straight edge with the edge of my paper, and I carefully, if you go like really fast, your ruler may get like this, and then you draw a crooked line, right? We don't want that. So keep it lined up here and slide it down, make sure it stays straight, until you want the top of your building to end, this is where I chose, and I just put a little line between these 2 lines here, okay? So I'm gonna pause, see where you guys are, and then we'll continue finishing this building. Okay, so I realized as I was doing this, that this building that I started with, right here, okay, I'm not gonna see, if I'm looking up, I'm not gonna see the sides of that building. So I'm just gonna go ahead and erase. I erased 1, okay? I'm gonna make these lines bolder so you can see them a little bit clearer. Okay. So this is building number 1. Don't worry about windows right now. Some of you may have an idea because you've done something similar before, but there's building number 1, okay? I'm gonna flip my sketchbook around and I'm gonna create a building. You can sort of see where I started to quickly sketch out. I'm gonna make sure I use my ruler to create building number 2, okay? I would suggest that you follow along with me step by step. However, at some point, some of you may say, cool, I got this, I'm gonna add more buildings. Just making sure that parallel lines and your straight edge are used throughout your piece, okay? And do this lightly. This can be practice, and then you can start again on Monday of next week if you choose, because you want to make sure you've got it first. It's totally okay, okay? So what I did from my point here in the middle is I drew, and I'm gonna make it darker so you can see it. I drew another line here. I had this line already. This was the line that I had going to the corner, okay? And then I drew a third line over here, okay? And this is where I'm going to probably get questions or confusion, so bear with me, okay? It's gonna take a pretty amount of time, I guess. I don't know if that's the word I wanna use, the term I wanna use, but it's gonna take some patience and understanding, okay? If all of your buildings end up looking like this one, right here, this looks like the beginning of what looks like you looking up at a building downtown Houston or New York City or wherever, okay? We're gonna create this corner building here, okay? So I'm gonna create a line between this line and this line that's parallel to here, right? So I'm gonna line up my ruler with the edge of my sketchbook and I'm gonna slide it over until I'm between those 2 lines. And I'm gonna create, a stronger line right there, okay? From there, I'm gonna make another parallel line going the opposite direction. So I'm gonna line up my straight edge and slide it back. You can probably hear my son in the background. Something y'all are used to, okay? And creating this corner building. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase all the lines I don't need so you can see what appears to be our second building, okay? I want you to be patient so you can see it there. Okay, it looks like the building or the block is coming from the paper, but it's still using perspective here to create. Okay, so I'm gonna pause for a minute and check in with you guys. Remember, you can send me messages and I will draw on your image through my phone and send it back to you to help you, okay? Patience is key. Thanks, y'all. All right, guys, I'm gonna do one more because I know that this might be confusing for some. And then I'm also gonna ask that you use the examples and see if you can find more examples. I know I found a few of mine on Pinterest. You can find them on Google. I want you guys to have as many resources as possible. So I'm gonna do another corner building like I did here, over here, okay? So I have my line in the middle. I'm gonna make another line and I'll make them pretty like dark so you can see them, okay? Then I'll do another one here. Okay, don't worry about windows right now, just worry about setting them up, okay? I want my building to look like it's sitting in the corner, right? So I have to process this for a minute, right? I have to think about which side of my sketchbook I'm gonna be parallel on which side. Let me scoot this back, okay? So in order for it, you kind of wanna make it look, I'm gonna do it without a ruler first, okay? You wanna make it look like it's a corner, right? If you do it the opposite way and looks wrong, then just swap it and fix your lines, right? So this line right here is parallel to the edge of my sketchbook, so I'm gonna scoot it back again. Just make the line a little bit darker. Okay, and then this side over here, it's going to take practice. It will probably frustrate you, and I don't want you to feel like it's the end of the world, okay? I'm going to go ahead and erase all my extra lines here. So now I have my third building here in the corner, okay? The goal is to try to have 5 buildings by the end of today, okay? If you have more power to you. I'm not gonna show you windows until probably Tuesday, just to make sure that those that are struggling with just the setup are able to do the setup first, okay? Ideally, you'll have anywhere between 5 to 10 buildings, but we're just working on 5 today. And in this amount of time, we've done 1, 2, 3. So ideally, if you've been following, you only have to do 2 more. I ask that you reach out to me and not leave the call, especially if you need my support, so I can help you in real time, okay? I appreciate you. I'm hoping that this was helpful so you can see what starts to look like Looking up, like if you're standing in downtown Houston, New York, LA, Boston, Cleveland, because that's where I grew up, you're looking up at buildings, right? So it's a different kind of perspective, but still using that one point in the middle, okay? So let's continue to practice. Remember, you need at least 5 today before you end your time with us today. So that can happen during asynchronous. And I encourage you to stay so I can help you. Obviously, if you're like, I got this, I can figure this out, then that's cool too. But everyone should have 5 before the end of today. Okay, thanks y'all. Let's get started.